Yo, what's good, squad? It's the big homie SB23 back with some more words of wisdom. Today, we're going to talk about why you shouldn't look for outside validation because you already got enough validation within yourself. So, here's one of those scenarios to where I get it why we look for validation from other people because, especially if it's your loved ones, because you always want the people around you to view you in a certain light and hold you to a certain standard if you care about how they view you. I know for me, there's only certain people who I care about how they view me. For majority of everybody else, I really don't care, and it's not because I'm because I feel some type of way about them or anything like that. It's just because I understand that the true validation comes from within me. So however I feel about me is what's gonna fulfill me. It's not about how anybody else feels about me. But there are certain people who I do care about how they view me and what light they hold me under. So that's why, again, from my other video, I make it a point to stick to my word when I say things because I want those certain people to continue to view me in that same light. I want that same amount of respect that I garnered from the actions and the way I moved with them during whatever scenario. So there's nothing wrong with wanting people to view you in a certain light, but there is, if you are constantly seeking outside validation instead of something from your own self, then you ultimately are giving your power away because you could be so caught up on focusing on how other people view you that you're not even focused on how you view yourself. And once you do that, then you lose yourself. You don't want to lose yourself. So you got to stick to worrying about how you view yourself. How do you view the person that you look into the mirror and see? When you look in the mirror, are you proud of the person you see? Can you accept the decisions and actions that you've made as of late? Or when you look into the mirror, are you ashamed, or can you not even look in the mirror because you're so ashamed because you know you haven't been moving right or whatever the case may be? So again, if you are constantly worried about outside validation instead of validating yourself, then you give away your power, and then you therefore let other people dictate how they're going to treat you instead of having that internal validation and having that internal fortitude to know that I'm already great regardless of how anybody views me because this is my life. So I'm going to make sure that I do things so that I view myself in a certain way. So then they will view me. However, they won't have no choice but to view me in a certain light. And even if they decide not to, okay, that doesn't matter. That's their opinion. Their opinion doesn't hold any weight on my life. So yeah, again, for me, when I move and I do the things I do, I'm doing it because I'm looking at myself and how I want to view myself. I'm not worried about how anybody else views me. So within that also can kind of go into why you should never play the victim in a situation, because when you play the victim, again, you're giving away your power, because at the end of the day, you're not the circumstances that happen to you. You're however you view yourself, regardless of the circumstances that happen to you. So if you hold yourself in a high regard and you move with pure intent and you move to make not only yourself better, but to try to uplift the people around you, then it doesn't matter what happens to you. That doesn't define who you are. That's just a circumstance that happened. We can't control everything that happens. The only thing we can control is how we move and how we respond to what happens to us. So again, that goes back into my last video where I was talking, or whatever video that was, where I was talking about spreading love. The reason why I always go back to spreading love no matter what, because that's what I want to bring back. So if you are in a situation and you're constantly viewing yourself as a victim or playing the victim, then you are going to become a victim, because law of attraction again says whatever you put out there, however you think, however you feel, is going to come back to you. So even if you necessarily weren't a victim in a certain situation, but you're playing a victim, then eventually you're going to become a real victim in whatever scenario it is, because that's the energy you're putting out. So again, that's to bring it all the way back to the validation. That's why you shouldn't look for validation from anybody else outside of yourself, because everything you need is already equipped within you. So any goal you want to reach, any decision you need to make, any way that you want to move, you have all the tools already. You don't need anybody else to tell you what to do, or you might need some guidance, but at the end of the day, we all know internally what we should be doing. There's that little voice that talks to you and nudges you to do certain things, and we ignore it. But if you were to tap into that and utilize it, then you would make the moves you would need to make on the inside, and then it would then therefore manifest on the outside. So again, it all starts from within first, and then it comes out. We're all projectors. Whatever we are feeling on the inside, we project on the outside. So again, that's another reason why you shouldn't seek validation from somebody else, because 9 times out of 10, let's say if you have a goal, you want to be a business owner, or if you want to start up something that isn't what somebody else can understand, they're going to project their own feelings onto you based off their own lens. So because they may not feel like that's something they could do, they'll tell you that you shouldn't be doing it, or that's not a good idea, because they feel like they can't do it. But that's not meant for them. What's meant for them is meant for them, and what's meant for you is meant for you. So you should always go for whatever it is that you want to go for, regardless of how anybody feels about it, because again, that's not their life. They may not be built like you. They're not. Their mind doesn't work the way your mind works. They don't want the things that you want necessarily. So that's another reason again why you don't want to seek validation from anybody else. There's nothing wrong with wanting people to be proud of you and stuff like that, but again, oftentimes people won't be proud because you're going after something that people normally might not go after, or if you're doing something that people might not be doing, or they're just not inclined to do, they'll project their insecurities on you and then have you second guessing what you're trying to do and trying to accomplish. So that's why it's good to keep your plans and your goals to yourself until they manifest, and then share them. And then you'll see who's really there for you and who's really not, who really supports you and who really doesn't. So again, at the end of the day, we all want our loved ones to support us and to validate us in some way. But if you base all of your moves and all of your standards off of that, then you'll be somewhere lost, because oftentimes people might not have the motivation that you have, or they might not have the drive that you have, or they might not have the understanding that you have, and that's okay. We're all at different places of our lives, and we all want different things. So with that understanding, since we all are individuals, even though we're all connected, then you should, regardless of how anybody else feels or what kind of love they show or what kind of support they're going to give you, should always go for what you want to go for, because at the end of the day, that's something that has to do between you and your inner self. And if you start mixing people into your stuff, then you could get sidetracked. So at the end of the day, again, there's nothing wrong with wanting to feel that love and that support and all that stuff from other people, but you don't really need it. It's all within you. We all have God source energy, and you can tap into that at any point, and that's more than enough. But again, that's another video for another day. So that's just my words of wisdom from the big homie SB23. I'm gonna holler at y'all.